We're on. How's it,
Okay.
Rebecca?
Hello.
You feeling older?
No, actually, I'm not.
Okay,
It's
good.
just another day. Yeah, you are as old as you feel.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Okay, so yeah, how did we meet? I found you on Facebook.
Like
Funnily enough.
everybody finds us.
No, well, the thing is, I've got this diamond, and I've been using it for the past 19 years as the design blueprint for curriculum. And yeah, I must say your response to I'm a curriculum designer was classic. When you said, yeah, a lot of people are curriculum designers. They're climbing out of the woodwork with COVID. And I said, yeah, well, I've got qualifications to back mine, but that's not what I want. You've got enough content. And then I said, I got something else. Got the process of how to build. And yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah, and I think that is actually what we all need, because there is so much content, and I don't think there is one particular way of putting the content together to make it work. And because there's such a diversity, and because there is so much scope for doing it your own way, it becomes overwhelming immediately, because people tend to think, what is the right way? Am I doing it the right way? And if I don't do it the right way, am I going to disadvantage my kids? So, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I still don't know if there's a right way, and if I did it the right way for my kids. It seems to work. They've all managed, but it is an unending conversation, and I like your idea of using the diamond format to organize one's thoughts so that you can put your own step 1, 2, 3, 4 that will work for you into your process. So I think let's start by you explaining it in detail, because I'm actually not 100% sure that I'm understanding it correctly. So I don't want to explain it because I might explain it wrong.
How deep do you want me to go? Because it is a process model. And
well, let's do it in layers, like the Shrek's onion kind of thing, and we just do the start with
Okay, so the diamond has two aspects. There's the inner cycle, which is basically just a round cycle, and I personally use it how to brush your teeth. I like brushing teeth.
Can I just ask something?
Yes.
Each point or intersection where the angle is that a step?
So to say, the thing is, I got the original 8 steps for the 8 aspects from a leadership development course I did with Boy Scouts in 1993. I was standard 8, stupid, but it made logical sense. And that guy said, define the task, plan, develop, control, evaluate with judgment, reflect, organize, set example. That made no sense to me at age 16. And then I got to varsity, and I went back to that one piece of paper, and it still made no sense. And then somewhere in curriculum in my higher education diploma, I went back again and I said, okay, fine, this must make sense now, because you actually have to use something in lesson plans. So it's define the lesson, plan the lesson, and that's just the mental bridge. And then they say develop, which means get stuff. And I'll be about teaching is we're going to have teaching aids, and then we're going to have a teaching method, whether it's to the style of your learner. Some kids are more auditory, some are visual, some are tactile. And that's actually the beauty, I think, in homeschooling, is because you can adjust every single lesson to fit your learning style of your child.
I think this is where, for homeschoolers, the wheels often fall off, because we tend to get a textbook and the teacher resource and just do as they say, go through it, get through the work, and see, did the kid hear me, understand me, and can they regurgitate it, without following your process that you've outlined, because we're not now trained teachers, so we won't instinctively know that there is these background steps that have been developed into, the work that your child is doing. But many of us take that and we insert the steps that we see are still necessary, which is what makes it so bespoke for our children, because we would now know that our child works better in this way, and we would tweak the work to fit child. But having your diamond, for instance, if we can have a very simplified form of having the steps, so that whatever we do, we can refer back to the steps and see, what am I doing now, and where in the diamond does this fit in, and what have I missed, and what do I still need to add? Because we don't have a blueprint for any subject, but getting a blueprint for a subject makes what we're doing so limiting. So we actually need an overlay, if I can call it that, onto our work that we can sort of superimpose, so that we can change our work accordingly. So I think this is where your diamond is going to help our own personal curriculum development in each of our homes, to make it very personal for our family dynamic, our faith, or our worldview, or whatever it is the parent wants to sort of inject into their lessons.
Yeah, the nice thing about the diamond is it's fully adaptable. It changes. I've never seen two diamonds, even just standard rock diamonds, look the same. The carats are different, the quality is different, the way the light comes through it, the colors are different. You get your whites, you get your blues, you get your yellows, red diamonds, and that's actually just what makes this so great, because every single person is a diamond. And if you're running on process, iron sharpens. This is a proverb, actually. It's Proverbs 27:17. Iron cuts iron, and then square brackets, diamonds cut diamonds. So one man trains and teaches his friend. And the beauty is like, in a homeschooling environment. Yeah, our first question for today is, when does learning start? Okay, but hang on. Let's just quickly run the last points of the diamond. Okay. I can digress and then. Okay, but so it's develop over here, and then it swings around, and control is the original word, but I don't do that. Just get down and do it. Okay. In leadership, they always want to talk about control. What's control? Control is what state does when we register our kids for like birth. Okay, come on. It's not about control. It's about just doing it. If something goes wrong, so what?
I like what you say there, and I just want to interject something. I watched an interview, South African guy interviewing an international doctor, and they were actually speaking about how the world is moving towards a state of people seeking their sovereignty again, which is just their unique identity, which really dovetails beautifully with what you're saying about each diamond being its own unique character. There is no two that are the same. So I just like that as a metaphor. Sorry for interrupting.
No. The thing is that you can take the unique metaphor down to fingerprints. There's 7.8 billion people on the planet. No one's got the same fingerprints. You can look at cell surface receptors. We've had this funky corona thing, so everybody knows about cell surface receptors, ACE2 receptors. Did you know that every single cell has its own receptor sites, all placed differently? And that's actually how your white blood cells work. They're looking always for self, and anything that's not self, they'll kill, and then it gets discarded. It's actually that's why they actually suppress immunity before transplants.
So promoting individuality therefore becomes not a nice to have, but almost a survival mechanism.
But that's who we are, and the thing is.
But I'm talking in context of education, even.
Yes, it should. Everyone's got a unique growth.
It should. If you promote the individuality of your child, that is what's going to give them a strong foundation to succeed in self, and they will focus on that, which is going to help them.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're talking about self, it's self-love before I can give love.
Exactly, yeah.
And the thing is, it's like
you can put that into a diamond as well.
You can. Okay, so after doing it, we just have to assess it. Okay, it's your birthday today. How's your day been?
Yeah. Busy already.
Okay.
And
Pause,
the diamond is my birthstone.
Pause. Oh, that's true.
Okay. Yeah.
Busy already. That's your assessment. And now,
Yeah, I've just been doing. Yeah.
now I'm going to ask you to reflect. Why was it busy? And you're going to say, this is good, that's bad, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
It's actually been good and fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's my birthday.
Why? Reflect.
I'm spoiled and I'm loved and I'm
Okay.
cared for.
And guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're spoiled and loved and cared for. And now you're going to learn lessons, which is better to settle in, come to the realization that you're spoiled and loved. And that's going to change your character. And then voila, that's the process.
Yeah.
So you define tasks, you plan, you develop, you do, you assess, reflect, learn the lessons. Now there's always positive lessons to learn. You're spoiled and loved, and that cuts your character. And guess what happened here? From being spoiled and loved, you learned that you are cherished, and your character becomes more secure.
Grateful.
Grateful?
I think that's the one thing I would take from that. Yeah, I have a lot of gratitude for so much that I have.
And how did that affect your character? You're more secure. You're more.
Yes.
You're more comfortable in your position in the household.
Centered.
And voila. So the next time you have to define the task, aka set the goal, you're going to be more secure, more ready to do it. Even if the day was a total stuff up, but you took away love and gratitude, and voila, then the task always becomes easier. And that's the beauty of the diamond, is it has the potential to always move in a positive direction. And in education,
it's a choice.
Yes. The thing is, school becomes a nightmare because, and I was thinking about this the other day, assessment is, okay. And actually assessment is just part of the process. How was your day? You're going to be asked for the rest of your life by your husband / wife / partner. How was your day? Good, bad, or ugly? Fantastic. Okay. and the thing is, in the school system, as we know it, assessment is chucked into this exam block. So it's basically 3 weeks of hardcore assessment. Nowhere in life is that even a vague description of how life will be when you're finished school.
Exactly. It's very contrived.
Let's put it this way, people say school prepares you for adult living. Now, my personal take there is that's rot, because my son, he's 6 years old. I've got to put him into school now to prepare him for living. Crap. He is 6. He is alive. He is living. He is living 6 years old. My job is to make 6 years old the most fun time of his life. And when he's 7, the most fun time of 7. And 8, the most fun time of 8. Because he is living now. I don't have to prepare him for, just because the building stones work that way, because we've all got to upgrade. But okay, so our first question for the day is actually, when does learning start? And the textbook answer, I have no clue what that is. But my personal belief is, if a 3-year-old can control a household, he's learned something.
That's so true.
I don't know. He's got mommy and papi around these 2 fingers and the other siblings around those, with aunts and uncles and grandparents. And then he gets comfortable, and then suddenly he gets a new challenge, and then he starts losing all of that. Okay, because due to our parentness, we say, hey, now you can do it on your own. I don't have to feed you anymore. You can be independent. You can pick up your own spoon. But when does it start? And a lot of people say at birth. No, in utero. And now you're a mother of what? 4 kids?
Oh.
Yeah. You would have built relationship with your kid, and you guys would have started feeling each other and knowing something about each other's personality. It's like, yeah. And I've got another theory. Let's go back some more into cellular memory that is transferred from parents to kids. And I see this with my wife. She is absolutely phenomenal in a woodworking workshop.
Wow.
She says she's never picked up a planer until the age of 18. She sat there and watched her dad. Her dad was working, planing and building cabinets and stuff. And she'd sit on the floor and play with the blocks and the hammers and the stuff. But at 18, she walked in and she said, I want to make myself a chair today or a bookshelf or whatever. And she did it. She'd never picked up the tools. She'd never read the manual. See, I'm the manual guy. She's like a modern child. She'll just pick up the cell phone and know. Kids pick up cell phones and just know.
See that?
I'm the guy I'm a curriculum writer. Guess what I do first? When I open any box, where's the manual?
I do the same.
Yep, I read the manual because we were taught, read the instructions.
Well, I like information. I want the instructions.
Go buy your iPhone. You'll not get anything with it except the sexy box and a sexy phone. There's no instruction manual in an iPhone.
Well, I don't do iPhones, so I wouldn't know.
Fine, go buy yourself a Samsung. They still don't tell you. The only way you're going to find out how your phone works is if you Google.
I do. I Google the specs and then I download the stuff. I do.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, so in other words, cellular memory is really hardcore. And then I asked her, okay, so how did you learn all this stuff to do with the bookshelves and stuff? She says, no, my father does woodwork, and my mother's family, they were actually forest workers down in the Knysna forest. And my grandfather made whittled the cabins for the big trains in the early 1900s. So I suppose it's just part of me. And I'm like, serious? She says, yeah, what do you do real well? I'm like, I teach real well. She says, so how many teachers in your family? I said, my mom, my dad, my grandparents.
Wow.
Everybody's in education. I was like, you don't even think about it. So the goal actually of maybe learning is to figure out, and yeah, we see it in the old guild systems. A baker, son was a baker. Bakers made bakers made bakers. The smiths made smiths made smiths. And somehow it just got better and better.
So we can basically, if we put this now in very simplistic terms, it would boil down to exposure. A child that is exposed to specific things, either at a certain age or for a certain duration, will somehow, even without doing what is exposed to or fully understanding, will somehow assimilate some knowledge of what's going on there.
Yes.
Their brain will, or the cellular learning equipment will store it somewhere so that at a later time you can access it.
Yes.
I think it works like that for language. And I suppose it goes to creating brain pathways. So it speaks to neuroplasticity in the end.
Yeah. But you can actually take it, you can blow the whole thing out on the, it's just stuff now. But it's actually
so when does learning begin? If you see, for our purposes in South Africa, homeschooling is legally defined as the formal education that happens for a child during the period where education is compulsory, and it has been defined for us as from the age of 7 through 15 or to grade 9.
Yeah.
So obviously kids learn way before that.
Yeah.
But if we have to now analyze that and say, well, why 7 and why 15? I suppose there's reasons for everything. They probably are going to change that in time. But now, if we talk about 7 being grade 1 or 6 being grade 1, because that's what they want to change.
Yeah, the year you turn 7.
Yeah. So now, how can we use the diamond in terms of the learning pattern or tendencies of a 6-year-old doing the kind of grade 1 work that would be, expected of them from the state curriculum? Because this is where the problem comes in for homeschoolers. Because each child is unique, and because we take that and we tweak it to work for our child, our circumstance, our budget, whatever's happening in our lives, because the child isn't an island separate from its family that can skip along to school and have a full tummy with no problems in their mind and learn everything the teacher's going to teach. Grade 1 is a set thing, but the child comes from a life and is living a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old life. So that kind of stuff actually has to be catered for.
Yes.
Can your diamond format includes steps that a parent can use or change according to what they need for that child, depending on what's happening in their lives.
Look, nothing's set in the diamond. Okay.
That's what I mean. Okay.
Okay. What is this? This takes us to the next question. Process versus system. Okay. We have systems. State has a system and they're trying to enforce it on us, saying this is education and this is the system. Okay. The problem with the system is, the way I see it, is it's a galvanized, solidified process that doesn't allow for adaptation, evolution, and change. Now, currently it's April, and we've already seen our wardrobe start changing to a winter wardrobe. It's natural. You're going to be wearing a longer jersey in the morning. Look, I've checked the temperatures for Joburg, Pretoria. It's summer, 26 to 32. It's summer. It shouldn't be summer end of April. But I know also the night temperatures are like a low. You're not sitting with, no one's going to be swimming at 10 o'clock in the, no, 6 o'clock in the morning. But in summer,
no one's swimming at all. The water's too cold, even if
exactly.
it's warm during the day. It's freezing.
So the thing is, but that change of season is the natural change of stride. And that's actually where process and system differs. Because process thinking is, I do with intent to change, to improve, to learn, to upgrade, to evolve. What's good in summer isn't good in winter. What's good in 1984 when I went to grade 1 and 2021, it's worlds apart.
Could we say then this change in application of doing the same thing is like sort of shifting gear, not so much as not doing, we're just doing it a different way?
Well, don't think of it as change. Change is, I believe, change is a collective now for lots of little adaptations. So you adapt a little bit, because the thing is, from a state perspective, they actually just want to make sure that you're reaching the benchmarks, because there are these funky things called milestones, and if your kid isn't potty trained by 3, then there's a problem. Now, Heinrich was breastfed until 3.5, to everybody's absolute disgust. And I said, why? It's the best food in the world. And he basically, we're still potty training him now. Okay, there is a side note, he does have Down syndrome, trisomy 21. So his development is a little bit slower, but it taught me that there is no benchmark. What is the purpose of the benchmark? People ask, is homeschooling better or worse than normal school? There isn't an answer to that question. The question that has to actually be asked is, what is best for my child? Exactly. And my child's development. And with that, modern schooling as we know it is actually a toddler. It's only been around for It's maybe 150, 200 years old. In South Africa, considering all the changes of 1994, our whole school system is not older than 27 years.
So, that's actually very sobering.
Now we're falling into tradition. Traditions take hundreds of years to be there. God Save the Queen is hundreds of years old. That's tradition. A 27-year-old school system, well, that's not a tradition. That's just something we did long before for a couple of years, like a quarter of a century.
I have to add something here. My sister-in-law's husband, Graham, he calls tradition manipulation from the grave.
It's exactly that, because it stops evolution.
It's dead people's rules.
No, it's dead people. Yeah, literally. But the thing is, tradition is the biggest, I'd say it's the dumbest thing in the world, because it stops evolution. It stops change. We got to do it this way because my father did it this way and his father did it this way. But guess what? My great-grandfather didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have a computer. He didn't even have a vehicle like I've got outside here. I can move from here to Pretoria in the next 24 hours.
So what we can also say is what we can also say then is if we just go back to the cellular memory for a moment, no matter how much exposure we've had to maybe woodworking or teaching or farming or whatever it is, because the application has changed so much, we have an increased amount of technology, the environment is so different, the needs of people are changing literally as we sit here.
Yeah.
There is no cellular memory for what we need to do next. What do we do now?
What the cellular memory of the field. Let's say woodwork is a field. It's artistic field. But the thing is, you'll see a woodworker has it's the same artistic field as, let's say, metalwork, which is the same artistic field as, let's say, music.
Okay.
And painting. So think of it as a field. But
so then that field memory will have adaptations. It's not like you've lost it. You're just going to learn some new things to add.
Put it this way: a manual planer, which is basically taking off the top layer of your wood, and an electric planer, which one's faster? Okay, sandpaper. I can either sand the desk.
Essentially doing the same thing.
It's doing the same thing, but it's the feel of the art.
Okay, I'm with you.
So think of it as the art rather, and the art is the field, and it actually makes it beautiful. And
if we talk about education, we are not just transferring information, we are
unlocking the field. Unlock the field. The thing is, we've all got speech in us. We're talking already. Therefore, it's about, this is where you'll get into old school educational didactics of knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis. Okay. Bye.
Sorry, I got a hug and I had to take it.
That's perfect. No. We are social beings.
You have something on your face now.
Why?
You sorted.
Yeah, no, I blew my nose. Must have been a piece of
tissue.
Tissue, whatever. Okay, so
sorry for the interruption. Okay,
no.
You were talking about the educational didactic specifically, yes. And yeah.
The thing is, when we go down to the old educational fields, things that have to be developed would be a certain amount of knowledge, a certain amount of comprehension, and application. And application is process. The thing is, at the moment, we've got an information overload, but we're not getting always to the comprehension. And comprehension actually comes from the cellular field, if we can put it that way. Yeah, we're actually working.
Isn't that more intuition than comprehension?
Wow. We should write a thesis on this stuff. This is good stuff. Okay.
Comprehension to me is when you've got your intuition and then you're organizing that into a sort of something that's got its own deep logic that you can recognize quickly.
Okay. Look, this is a new theory, okay? But it's great, okay? And then from there we got to go and do something, which is apply it. Okay, and then the old Dr. Bloom said, then we've got to analyze it and then put it all back together again and make a judgment. Okay, personally, I believe most things end at application. From there, then you get to philosophizing about education. And sometimes we don't have to get into the philosophies behind stuff. Some things just work. Okay. Yes. Yeah, some things just work. Okay. Another aspect would be we've got so caught up in the analysis and synthesis that we actually forget that it's like, I think in medicine, it's all about the double-blind placebo-control study. Well, sometimes ginger root just works and peppermint works and what's that other stuff? Comfrey tea works and olive leaf extract works.
And we can figure out why later.
Yeah, well, the thing is, double-blind placebo-control study. What exactly do you want to know? Does olive leaf extract work? It's worked for 6,000 years.
But they've never done one. They've never done one.
But they never. So you can't either, because again, it's natural, and each person's going to respond to it differently because every single person is unique in any case. That's and yeah, education is 200 years old. Modern medicine is only 100 years old. So
quite something, eh? It makes me think, you know, this is it's a very interesting analogy or pairing that you've put here. If we specifically juxtapose medicine and education and the the tradition of how people learned medicine, the original way was a family doctor would initiate his own children into the field through observation, excuse me, and engagement of what he's doing. They would go with their father and they would learn from very young to observe what is going on and know what to do in that specific case. And it used to be that a person could become a doctor if they had, I think it was an 8-year apprenticeship, 8 or 10 or something. So you would have to have moved around with other doctors or healers or whatever for a very long time over a big space, you know, geographically, before you were considered a doctor. It's not a matter of can you answer the question. Look, obviously, with all our modern developments, you have to teach a certain information base and know that those are the basics. But still, what I mean is that we don't have that anymore. There isn't an apprenticeship for something like that, which there probably should be, other than the intern period that they do.
But on the side of the doctors,
contrived.
But on the side of the, I'm going to have to say this, on the side of the doctors, there are too many people for the number of doctors. So everything is just, it's an information overload on the one side, and then there's a crisis situation on the other side. So personally,
but I think that's why there's so many fields, so that they can diversify.
But the thing is, you've got to go through primary health to get to secondary, and then they start.
Now, who decided that?
No, they did. The doctors did. Because let's the
cardiosurgeon
doesn't want.
I go directly to a specialist if I know I've got a problem that would need a ear doctor or a stomach doctor, whatever they call. That's where I go.
Now we're digressing, okay? Because now we're falling into a different field. Understand education.
Okay, let's go back to topic.
But we're probably going to get here again, because my next question actually is okay, we've looked at systems versus process. Note again, that's the system, the medicine. It's all about a system, because they figured out.
Just recap the systems versus process thinking, because I don't think I'm on the same page.
Okay, a system is a set process. It's a process that has worked and now has become tradition. Okay, so that could be anything from buying a house where you need to get your bug certificates, your electricity certificates. To sell a house is actually a nightmare, because you've got to get all that stuff ready. And then you've got to, okay. But it's the same in like the educational system. Grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10. Okay, and then that's actually subdivided into the 3 phases or the 4 phases. Grondslagfase, intermediate, senior phase. But it's all about just keeping people in a system and trying to push through the sausages, so to say.
But that just makes it easy for the people who want to assess it. It's not for the person in the system. It's an external.
Yep.
It meets a need that is not your need.
But why did we create that system? That's actually the question.
I like that. Yes, exactly. How do we do that?
How did we've abdicated our power?
We're actually already done it. We're homeschooling now.
Exactly. So now we're taking it back. But the thing is, if you look at the traditional systems, we gave away our power to the state. The state's going to look after our kids. Now, people have a lot to say about communistic Russia, but they actually gave their power to the state and said, look after our kids while we work. That's what we've done. And because, I was a school teacher. After like 6 months, I said, am I a school teacher, or am I administration donkey, or am I just home care, babysitter?
Yeah.
Because the kids looked at me and said, why must I be here? And my answer was, so you can learn how to think. And they said, but then why are you teaching us all this stuff? I said, the stuff's irrelevant. It's how to think. And then I had the diamond, so I showed them the diamond, and they all looked at me like this. So you must be mad. And I said, watch. And I took something like how volcanoes form and put it into the diamond. There's too much pressure in the mantle. So now the plan for the planet is it's going to release the pressure. So it's going to push up. And then the development is bring all the pressure to one point and then pop a volcano. Then they do it and it pops a volcano. And then we assess. And as humans, we don't understand that the planet's feeling chilled now because a volcano came in. And the pressure's been released. So you're not well. I said, let's reflect. The planet's feeling happy. Major plate tectonics, a little bit of tsunami. No, but the tsunami is bad. I said, for who? It's great for the planet because now it's shifting water. Mangroves are there to protect these coastlines. We were dumb enough to take out the mangroves, and now we've got tsunami damage. But that's our stupidity. We didn't understand that plate tectonics were here way before us. Okay, but either way. Okay,
Leave well enough alone comes to mind, and sometimes it's actually better that way.
Yes.
But we are creatures of change, and we like to rearrange things, and we also like to do things our own way because we all tend to be a little bit selfish. So,
why?
Yeah, where does that fit in? Why? I don't know why.
Because we've written ourselves.
We get bored.
No, we've written ourselves out of nature.
Yeah, you can't really get bored of nature if you're in it.
Have you ever looked at the definition of nature?
No, not really.
Hang on.
That's actually something I just take for granted. It's the natural way things are. But then again, depending on the definition, anything can become nature, which means we could even, use that to defend our destructive tendencies.
The definition of nature gives this away. I'm going to read it here from our good old Google. Define nature. The phenomena of the physical world collectively, including plants, animals, the landscape, and other features and products of the earth, as opposed to humans and human creations.
Wow. So it's a phenomena, and it's opposed to humans. Wow.
We've written ourselves out of nature. Therefore,
but that's even in the definition.
We've written ourselves out of natural systems, out of natural process. Nature.
No wonder we struggle so much.
No wonder we struggle so much. We've written ourselves out of natural process, natural adaptation, natural evolution. Look, the good old buffalo, wildebeest migrate Serengeti every year, but only in one direction. I've always asked the question, when do they migrate back? And they actually break up at the bottom and they go back on different routes. They adjusted. I don't know, ask them. It was their adaptation. But we don't do that. We would have gone, going there this way, we're coming back the same way. Because we're human and we think we're better than nature. If the wind is blowing, go the other way. We even tack against the wind with a sailing boat. We've written ourselves out of nature. Find your place again. And then we think we can do it better. We can't.
This reminds me of that scripture where it talks about, I think it was, who was it that was struck by lightning? And he was told he's kicking against the pricks.
The only guy who had bad, yeah, probably. But I want to make you can say it's Job, because Job had bad stuff happen to him.
Yeah, no, it wasn't about that. It was basically this where you fight against that which is obviously going to hurt you back, and it's through your own action, not through what's there already.
But that's another thing with the cellular memories. You can't fight your cellular filter.
Really?
Trust me. My dad's a surgeon / lecturer. My mother's an English teacher. When I got to the end of school, I went to varsity and I studied a BA with English. Guess what I became? I stood in front of Mrs. Bekus at Harvard because I didn't want to go and be a klasmusik onderwyser. I stood there and she said, just enroll. If you don't like it, change course in a week. Guess what? After a week, I went back to her and she smiled at me and she said, what now? I said, I'm home. We had a week of prac at school. And I got to the school and I walked in and I stood in front of my first class and I knew this is me. I just got there. And then I got to the end of Harvard and everyone looked at me and said, you want to go and teach now? I said, no, I want to go and figure out how to design curriculum. I'm not one of those woodwork curriculum designers. I didn't crawl art. I actually have a paper that says B.Ed honors curriculum design. That's why when people say, people say to me like curriculum designers, I look at them like this and I say, where did you study? And they're like,
I'm really
course. I'm like,
I'm really anti this whole expert thing, but you have to actually also know what you're doing if you're teaching. You have to respect that there are systems and processes that do produce specific things that are useful and good. So
yes.
I think what I mean with everybody being a curriculum designer, calling out the wood, it happened because of COVID, and people found themselves in a position doing that, even though they didn't know what they were doing, purely out of necessity. It's still very early. There has been no assessment of what they've done and if it has done any good, if it's been successful, but yet they're calling themselves curriculum designers now, purely because they've done it. Whether they've done it well or not seems to be immaterial. So for that purpose, I want to actually just bring in some balance. I'm not a expert worshipper, but I do believe there is a field of knowledge that people will have a bank of information which comes from study. So we have to actually look. That's just logic.
There's a lot of information out there, okay? And believe me, I've met a lot of specialists in my field because I'm the guy who packs the shelf, so to say. Believe me, the guy who packs the shelf at Spar doesn't have a clue what's in the coup can versus the all gold can versus the next can. Okay, I'm that guy. I've read everything from hairdressing to load haul dumps, underground mining. I have no clue, but I know how to fit them together. I can tell you, this is the task. This is how you'll plan to GHD your hair. I've never used the GHD. My wife says I'm not allowed to. I don't understand.
What is a GHD?
Good hair day. It's a flat iron.
Oh, okay.
I'm not allowed to use my wife's flat iron. Okay, but the thing is, I can tell you. Okay, this is the process. You got to define. I need flat hair. Plan, aka I need a GHD, and I need to have wash.
I'm trying to see you with flat hair.
Yes, I'm too much. Okay.
Sorry, that was funny.
Yes, I'm with you. Okay, fine. Okay, cool. Two scenarios.
Moving along.
Yeah.
Okay,
two scenarios.
Systems versus processes. Basically, a process is within a system.
A process is a system, but the system. The system.
So why did we do a versus thing? Yeah.
The thing is, we need new process. That's where I'm going now. We've got two scenarios. Right now, as we sit here right now, we've got pre-2020 and post-2020. Okay, something happened in 2020, and I believe it was high pressure, high heat on every single individual on this planet. We went from a carbon-based species, heat and pressure, and we've come out as diamonds. It's a beautiful metaphor. No, everybody who survived 2020 is a diamond. We've had financial pressure, everyone. I don't care if you say, I've got a pile of money in the bank. Everybody had a moment last year where, hang on, I've got to reevaluate. Even with piles of money. And I'm not talking about like the Bill Gates guys, because Bill Gates and Amazons and stuff, they're not men on the street. I'm talking about the guy, the electrician who's doing work. My friend who's got a jewelry shop in Neisner, and she was banking December, she banks on GP tourists, and in January, February, German tourists. She says she makes a whole year's budget in 3 months. Okay, And now she's sitting and she's saying, hey, Krista, what's the game plan? I said, fine, this is the game plan. Faith, hope, and love, they survive. Let's go on. But everybody, so right now, everybody's been galvanized. At least everybody's been diamondized. Everyone's gone from a carbon.
This is what I want to ask you. The process of pressure has created diamonds, but now diamonds still need to be cut. So we are now technically diamonds in the rough. And what is the cutting process?
New process.
Okay. So I'm on the right path.
You are. It's the new process. You've got to figure out new processes. Now that's anything from Airbnb to Uber cabs, advertising what you're selling, monetizing what you've got. Me personally, I've been sitting on this diamond for 19 years.
Wow.
On the side, I'm a curriculum writer and I still work for a college. On the other side, I've got myself a little online shop that sells supplements. Voila. And my wife looked at me and she said, that's not who you are. You are the diamond. And everybody needs this now. I looked at her and I said, but it's common sense. She said, then why is no one doing it?
It's not necessarily common sense because we inject our common sense into each step on the diamond. Not many people have got a bird's eye view of what they're doing in their own lives.
Yeah.
So I think what this is going to do, I'm hoping what it's going to do for us as homeschoolers is help us, each one, to take their own diamond and formulate the processes that they are using already into a sort of a cohesive overview so that they can keep applying that which works and not that which is still the part of the R&D, which is pretty much what the government talks about in terms of best practices, but they are imposing someone else's best practices on us, and we need to start taking ownership of our own best practices because they work for us. What I do as a best practice is not going to be good for you, or your child as a best practice because it's not best for you. So I think what I'm going to try and say here is best practices relative to who is applying it at the time. It can't really be a rule like a 10 commandments thing that someone else is going to impose. It's not. It's not subjective, and it needs to be subjective.
Yes. No, let's put it this way. What works in Joburg doesn't always work in Pretoria. What works this side of the street doesn't work that side of the street. Same kids, same economic background, same everything. Guess what? Okay, on this one, I'll say you've got 4 kids. How many mothers do your 4 kids have?
Well, it depends what you mean by mothering.
No, how many mothers do they have?
Biological mother 1.
No, okay, yeah.
What do you mean? Okay, you've got to quantify that.
No. The thing is, they actually have 4 mothers. 1 person. Okay? But the way you treat the eldest and the youngest.
Not the same.
Definitely not the same.
It can't. They're different people.
Exactly. So therefore, it's 4 mothers.
I apply the same rules, but it's not the same.
That's just like a speed limit.
Person. Yeah.
120 for me and this Ferrari and the Ego is all the same thing. It's 120. So the rule stays the same. But how we, the individuals, play on the 120 limits. It's different for my Folksy that can only go 80 and your Ferrari that can hit 120. So you push it to 130. And the other guy who can only drive, who rides a 50cc motorbike, and he can only go like 60. So the thing is, you've got you're the same person, but you're a different mother to each child. And that's why you've got to take education from that as well. The one kid, you can give him a worksheet and say, read this, do it. The other one, you actually have to take him through the steps. He wants more appreciation. He wants more love. He wants more whatever.
It's actually quite funny because it's very different per child. You're right there. So your mothering changes for each child, and therefore so should your teaching or your facilitation.
But think about it this way.
Interaction.
Okay, my uncle, his oldest now is 24 and his youngest I think is 16. The socioeconomic situation of the family was different. And the oldest was 3 as compared to Daniel when he was 3. Daniel's only lived in one house. Michael's lived in 3 houses. They're brothers. There's a lot of external stuff that actually adjusts on a system, and that's what we miss.
So your scenarios.
Yes. Okay. So yeah.
Factor. What are the
Post 2020. Diamond in the rough. Where do we go from now? We've got 3 choices. We can either here I'm actually that doctor you mentioned the other day, Dr. The Indian Shiva. Yes, he actually said it very nicely. He's a systems thinker. His philosophy is look at the systems and figure them out. And I actually want to chat with him and say, hey, dude, it's not about thinking in systems, it's thinking in processes.
I've been trying for years. He doesn't answer very often. I think he's too busy. But
I phoned his office the other day and left a message.
We must bring him to South Africa because he will come and do talks here.
We'll discuss. I'll just do the talk. Okay, so we've got 3 choices. We can either oasis ourselves, okay, aka come home and just lock the gates, have your own water, sewerage, and then grow your own food. Okay. Unfortunately, we're not islands. We are humans, and we actually need interaction. Okay. The next scenario is we can be entertained. We can watch TV all day. Okay. There's a lot of nice entertainment at the moment. There was the whole Trump and Biden elections scenario last year. This side, that side. Honestly, it's American politics. Okay, it's become a soap opera.
It's very entertaining.
It's most entertaining. Okay, or you can just get Comedy Channel. Okay, but that's not going to help us today. So option number 3 is obviously learn. Learn, develop yourself to cut your diamond, and that's for everything from brushing your teeth to running your business to educating your kids. And I'm the guy who says the way forward is we need a process model that's adjustable, adaptable, and can take us forward. This diamond, it came to me 19 years ago. I've tested it everywhere. The only place it doesn't work is where tradition and rules stop evolution. Yes, education system, medical system, and religious systems.
Wow, that is fascinating that those 3 come up together, hey?
Yes, because they're in the religious system that has adjusted quite a bit, actually.
Not really. It depends where you are, because it's just diversified.
Yes, if you get into the legalistic religions, then the heavy doctrines where they get into A goes to B, goes to C, goes to D. Now, firstly, I've got a problem with that, especially if God's my father, because fathering is also different. My God and your God are 2 different guys. Because guess what? The way your father treats you and the way my father treats me, 2 different things, because he's going to meet me at my personality.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's what makes.
But the rules don't change. Like if I say to my kids, you are not allowed to drive the car without a license. They're not allowed to drive the car with the license. I might tell each child that same rule in a slightly different way, but the rule doesn't change.
I don't actually think God's made any rules. So.
No, I don't mean God specifically. I'm just saying your point about fathering can't be that different.
No, it's not. No. Let's put this in. Gravity isn't an illusion. The gravity on me and the gravity on you is the same thing. It's gravity. Okay. So I don't want to get into content. For me, it's about the process. No. I don't want to teach content. Because a lot of content gets into perspective. It's like agriculture. Irrigation is irrigation, but it's totally different between a drip irrigation system and a pivot irrigation system. And
so what we can say, therefore, is the reason why the diamond might not work in those 3 areas is because the area is prescriptive, which disallows the diamond from development.
Yes. So the thing is, and the prescriptions come from where?
I don't know. I suppose it's different in each
That's
case.
the question. That's the question. Because the thing is, I'm the guy.
People, tradition.
Tradition. Someone had a bright spark idea. And it might not even have been it might not even be a good idea. It's just we're all moving forward as a herd.
Yeah.
No, I can give you examples of the bright spark idea. It didn't, okay, but we'll have that chat off air. But the thing is, you've got to take ownership again of your life, your family, your kids, and this is the process that can be the cornerstone to your new earth, your life post 2020. For me, it's about we've got faith, hope, and love to share, joy, peace, all these nice, good, airy, fairy things, and they're actually all just there. They motivate you. Some things have to be accepted. I just have to go and cut the grass, but I can make it seriously enjoyable. I can put some earphones in and listen to a YouTube talk I missed 5 weeks ago. There's a lot of stuff you can do while doing the routine stuff. But I think we're missing the point here. The point is we need a cornerstone, something that we can rely on. Unfortunately, it's not out there. We cannot wait for someone to come and save us. Okay. The lottery is only won by 1 in like 60 million South Africans every week. Okay, so for the rest of us, we better make a plan. And this is a recommended process to achieve a plan, achieve a goal.
So if we take this plan that we formulate for ourselves, each of us, using the diamond as a
process
foundation, a process model, that's perfect.
Process model of how to get it done. I've used it in 150 curriculums. 150 curriculums. Therefore, it's multiple levels of diamonds because you get the big diamonds, which is the whole curriculum. But then each subject is a diamond on itself as well. Each assessment criteria is a diamond on its own. Each learning criteria is a diamond on its own. How the actual diamond starts speaking to itself across itself. This whole diamond.
This is what I'm trying to get to. Yeah. How do we do this?
It interacts with itself. Okay, so yeah, my homepage is diamondcornerstone.com with a hyphen, diamond-cornerstone.com, and I do masterclasses in how the diamond can work for you.
So that would be the next step. We have to figure out.
But we're gonna do one on.
We'll do more. Yeah.
We'll do one on Homeschool Essay next week, the week after, probably the week after. And I'll actually break the diamond down with slideshows and blah, 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 and all the funky technology that we have. And because the diamond, so to say, has always been free. It's just the application of it that's where it gets.
We get overwhelmed. It's just so much. And just the only way to do it is just one little step at a time.
Less is more. Less is always more. Okay. So don't look, just chuck it out. Okay. No, I'm the first guy who says bring it down to skeleton and we can rebuild. Okay, this is the skeleton.
Okay.
No, look, if you want to get confused, go and look at meta theories of education. So they talk about the philosophy. No, it's absurd. The thing is, I will never forget the opening line to Meta Theories in Education was Honor's textbook. It goes like this: those who can do. Those who can't do, teach. Those who can't teach.
That's not fair.
No. Those who can't teach teachers. Those who can't teach teachers philosophize about education. So our goal here is not to do any of that.
No.
Our goal is to empower our children, empower ourselves.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a job. This is a career. This is a vocation. This is a relationship. This is bigger. This is next week, next month, next year, 10 years from now. It's more than us. And it's beautiful.
It is very beautiful. I love the metaphors you've introduced, and it's very comforting to think about stuff like this, given what we've gone through, because everybody has gone through a lot. And I was actually sitting the other day reminiscing about the last 18 months, and it doesn't feel like 18 months, mind you. It feels like 3 to 4 months have gone by. That's just been really packed. And I suddenly realized that although we've been very busy doing all sorts of things, very, very busy, it feels like I've lost that time. Yeah. I have a tremendous sense of loss, even though so much has been done. So I don't understand why I have that feeling, knowing that I didn't lose the time. We did a lot, but I'm wondering if it's not because in the back of our mind, we have this idea of how we're going to spend the time. And if the time is spent differently, we've lost our projected plan. But it doesn't matter because, I mean, things happen anyway. So reconciling this time passing without doing the things we envisioned for ourselves, even though we've done so much more in other ways. It's been hard. It's really a tough thing to sort of hold at the same time that contradicts itself like that. It's not fun.
Well, it's diamonds that weren't anticipated, I'd say. Because every activity is a diamond. And as I think last year, April, when we were all sitting in lockdown, hard lock, Sonia's like, April looks different to this. And everyone thought it was a holiday for the first week. And the second week it was, okay, I'm getting ready to go back to work. And the third week it was, no, we're staying in hard lock for another 2 weeks. And everyone was like, no, we're South Africans. The sun is shining, the grass is green, I'm going to the beach. And yeah, so now we've been down this rabbit hole for a year. Now it's time for us to roll up our sleeves and redefine and move forward as a people.
I'd like to use your diamond as a formulation to assess our past so that we can use that as a learning curve, because so much has happened. It would be very nice to dissect it and actually find a conclusion, for the many aspects of things we've lived through, so that we can say, from this that happened to me, I've learned this, I've grown in this way. I can now use this in some way, because I think a lot of what has happened, well, I'm just speaking now from our personal perspective. I do that because I obviously can't speak for others, but there is so much there that I can feel has resulted in something, but I don't know what the result is. I don't know what to conclude about it. I don't know what I've learned, and I don't know if it's of any use to me anyway. And it feels a bit like it might be a waste to just ignore that and move on. Although I will move on, I still want to find a way to recap my own life and my own experience so that maybe I can put the feeling of loss into perspective. I want some academic explanation, please, for what happened to me.
There isn't.
Maybe I'm not the only one.
They're not. Everybody lost something. No, days turned into
but
weeks.
We don't even know what we've lost. This is what's so stupid about it.
Pause.
I've got everything I had before.
Stop. Wait, maybe we must change up our viewpoint. We're negatively inclined from the get-go.
Yeah.
Don't. Yeah. So think about, what did I gain? You gained relationship with your family. You gained relationship with your friends. You felt loved and spoiled this morning. And that's where we end off now, okay?
Okay.
We started with your birthday, we end with your birthday. This morning you felt love, spoiled, gratitude. And maybe that's what we got out of a year of madness. It was a moment of pressure on the one side and insanity on the other side. But the previous system was insane in any case. We've been through our diamond molding stage now. Now we're out the other side and we're rough diamonds. Now we chuck out all the rest, leave the rest behind. Our systems have already started crumbling. Everybody's figured out, hang on, the world has changed. Political systems are on a knife edge. They're not going to hang around much longer. People are starting to ask, who are you to tell me I must? It's like I walk into a shop. Who are you to tell me I must? He looks at me, he's like, what? I'm like, must I? Really? He says, no, I suppose not. So
we at the point of
what did we gain? We gained our individualism again. We gained our strength. It was tested and we came out stronger. We're human. So now the goal is we have a process model, we can install it, and it's adjustable, adaptable. Our old systems, keep what worked, chuck the rest. And even that stuff which worked can still just, you can reflect on it and figure out which parts we're going to keep and what we're going to chuck.
And you know what? We don't need to actually make sense of the madness. I've just realized, if you try, madness is nonsensical. So the longer you try and find sense in something that is nonsensical, you're going to be chasing your tail. So, like you say, chuck it.
It's just a distraction.
It is.
Okay, I'm going to love and leave you. See you on the other side.
Thanks for this. This was lots of fun. And I look forward to the next one.
Fantastic. Blessings.
Bye.
Yeah.